everybody, and welcome to a nice drag tune video. Today I am going to show you guys step by step on how I do a drag tune on any car. The car that I chose was going to be this Corvette right here, as you guys see in the background. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I find the gears, how I adjust everything, the suspension and everything like that. So everybody new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and let's get right to it. So we have here the 2009 Corvette ZR1. Let's go to the buy house here. Let's buy auto show. Let's go to Chevy and let me buy one fresh for you guys. So let's go to Chevy here and then let's buy it right here. So we're going to buy it really quick. We got all these dope colors. Let's buy it in blue. Alrighty, so one of the key things I like to do is always fully build the car, of course. I like to always look at the engine options if there is some. And I always like to do like two different versions of a car, one with more horsepower, one with less horsepower. But in this case, it's not going to be that way because this car, we're going to go right to the conversions and we're going to keep it with the original engine. You have a V10 option and V12, which we're not going to do. And the original engine sounds super nice. So let's put that there. Let's leave it rear wheel drive, of course, and then let's put the twin turbos in there as well. So now let's go right to the engine. Normally I fully build the engine. There's only certain occasions that the oil and cooling is a lot more on the vehicle, which that kind of sucks on our end, because then what we'll have to do is lower the oil and cooling to compensate for, so see the horsepower. So always take a look at the oil and cooling, but in this case it's just the intercooler. We don't have an oil and cooling in this one, but you'll take a look at it and see how big the difference is. Sometimes it's only like 8 horsepower, 9 horsepower difference, which doesn't really affect you at all. So you don't have to put it. But in this case, we don't have it, so let's not do that. Flywheel is a must. Flywheel does give you some real good top end. Back in the day, we did not use flywheel as much, but now we are going to always use flywheel. So that is it. Let's go right to the suspension. So suspension has always been, everybody always had different suspensions, but a lot of the times we always just simply stood with the rally suspension. The rally suspension gave us a softer suspension that gave us a more of a easier way to distribute all that power from the front to the back of those wheels and not have such a stiff suspension that you get from having a race suspension. Now I use the race suspension for my road race cars because you reduce the weight on there, and also you want the cars to be a lot lower towards the ground with the race suspension. With rally, you want a little bit softer there. You want to distribute all that power to those back of the wheels, and also it's still good for all-wheel drive as well to put the rally. So we're just going to drop the rally. Always put the anti-roll bars. It just reduces weight on there, and then you don't have to put a roll cage anymore. Back in our Horizon 3 we had to put roll cages, but not anymore. And then full weight reducted. Let's full weight reduct the car just like that. Now let's go right over here. Let's put these things on here. So these were the newest things that they added on, was this here, all these different speeds and stuff like that, which in this case it doesn't really affect anything because we are picking how many gears we're going to use in a quarter mile, which a lot of the times is about 4 gears. Some occasions is 5, and then very rarely is 3. When you use a 3 gears, because your car has a lot of power, not that much weight, and then you need those 3 gears to go through that quarter mile. So we're going to just use the race transmission on there, and then we're going to put this race as well. And then we've got the differentials, same things with this. Some people are telling me that rally is better. than the race. I really haven't seen anything crazy that's making it such a big jump or anything, but I've always used race, and we're just going to stick with the race. Um, and now we're going to go to the tires, of course, the drag tires. I mean, that's no brainer. And then go full width in the rear. There's You're always going to go full width in the rear. The only times you might not have to is if you don't have that much horsepower in the car. And then that's when you don't have to go full width in the rear. And then with the wheels, just pick anything that's light. Just the lightest weight wheels will tell you right then and there. Like this one is 17 pounds less. So that'll be the lightest weight wheels there. With the size of the wheels, I never go bigger on the size of the wheels. And I like to just do spacers. It just looks a lot better on the back end having those spacers on there. And then when you look at the body, try to look for an option that reduces you weight. So if it's like a hood or something like that that reduces weight, try to slap that on the car. In this case, we don't have anything. But that is it with the build. So now we're going to take the car outside. Throughout the years, I've been tuning since 2011, since I've been playing Motorsports 4. So I kind of just tune by feel now. But it's going to be, just listen to this thing. This has to be one of my favorite sounding cars, hands down. It just sounds wow. So let's fast travel real quick to the quarter mile. Always try to use the speed trap to help you out in knowing how your car is performing in the quarter mile. The higher you trap on the speed, the better you knowing that you're making that car quicker and quicker and quicker. Some of the cases, I mean, just because you're trapping high doesn't mean that you're having a fast car. But when you're tuning your own personal car, you always want it to trap the higher that you can, just so that you know that this car maxes at a certain speed in the quarter mile, and you get there a lot quicker. So that's how I always done it. That's how a lot of people do it. They use the speed trap to know what they're trapping in the quarter mile, and then that's how they go with the gears and the drag cars. So let's go with the tire pressures. Tire pressures is always going to be 15 in the rear. Everybody just inflates it all the way in the front because they don't want those front tires to reduce the drag there on there. So you want to real inflate it on there. So you have less of that tire touching the ground in the front, and you want all that tire touching the ground there on the back there, so you can get maximum grip. The gears, we're going to come back to that. Alignment is always going to be zeroed out. A lot of people are saying just keep it at negative, so when the car squats down, it evens out that alignment and you have more of that footprint on those back wheels. It is true, but in this game, it doesn't really make. It's not like you're gaining so much horsepower, not horsepower, but the mile per hour trap speeds or anything like that. So in this case, we're just going to go all the way 0, and I normally just go 7. I mean, this thing is always real close to 7 anyway, so I just go to 7. Here really doesn't do much as well. So what I do is just go all the way to 65, 65. I've noticed that sometimes 65, 65 is better. My 0 to 60 will change for a reason. Or I go all the way to the lowest here in the rear, and to see if I see any change. If I don't see any change, I just do 65, 65. And that is it. Now we're gonna go over here with the suspension. It's real simple. It's been like that since all the motorsports that I've done so far, which is considering having a soft front suspension and a stiff rear suspension. Initially, it is to just raise up that front end and distribute the power towards the rear. But you don't want the front end to be like just bouncy. You want it to initially just raise up on the front end and distribute the power to the back. A lot of the games that has been like that, it's just been that way. Is to do it that way. In real life, some people don't want it to be so stiff in the rear because that your car would end up doing a wheelie or anything like that. You burn out too much. You could, destroy your diff, stuff like that. But in the game per se, we're just gonna keep it soft in the front, stiff in the rear. And as you guys saw, my 0 to 60 dropped down as well. So without even tuning the gears, kind of pay attention to your 0 to 60, 0 to 100. It doesn't really tell you how fast your car is, because the way you're driving your car, it's not the same way as what it shows on your 0 to 60, 0 to 100, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. So pay attention to it, because whatever you're doing, the lower you keep getting it, it's making the suspension, making that 0 to 60 go lower. But don't always say that the 0 to 60 and 0, because I have a 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 lower than yours, I'm faster. That doesn't mean that. That does not mean because your 0 to 60 is lower that you're faster than someone else. So please do not pay attention to 0 to 60, 0 to 100 and say that. Just use that 0 to 60, 0 to 100 for your tuning purposes, to get the suspension as low as you can, or the 0 to 60, 0 to 100 as low as you can, while adjusting your suspension. Besides that, the ride height has always kind of been the same. It's always been, the car been raised all the way up. As you guys see, look at the 0 to 60, 0 to 100. By me just lowering the back end, it just jumps up higher. If I lower the front end, it does the same thing, or in this case, it did not do anything. So we just leave the car raised all the way up. The only occasions I lower my car all the way down is for road racing. I like my car being low to the ground, just cutting through that air, just that I can maneuver through the traffic while road racing. But for this, the higher it is, the better. It's been like that for as long as I remember, and it looks like it's still the same in this game. Now with this is the key. One of the key factors in suspension is this right here, the rebound and buff stiffness. A lot of the times you want that front end to be low on the rebound. Initially, you want that front end of the car to raise up, distribute the power to the back. And now the rear, you always want it to be stiff on the rear. And then this here is always a different thoughts into it. Some people have it that is like this. So initially you have everything soft in the front, stiff in the rear. But in this game, it just makes it super, super bouncy. Like the front end is just super bouncy, and you don't want that. You don't want it to just be driving the car and it's bouncy and bouncy and bouncy on this car. So what you can do is a equal distribution, as what I call it, which you making the front stiff and the rear soft. So you have soft, stiff, and then stiff and soft. So that's like an equal distribution, how I call it. This right here kind of is like a middle ground of keeping your car okay. A lot of the times what everybody does is this here as well, is keeping the vehicle pretty stiff. So this soft on the rebound here, what happens is the front end raises, but it doesn't drop back down really quickly. That's what the whole suspension is part of it, with the bump and rebound. But this is another thing to do too. So these are the three that you can use. You can use this one here. You can use soft, stiff, or you can do equal distribution, which is doing the soft, stiff, soft. So making 1, 20, 20, and 1, which this also is one of the most popular ones that we're doing. So we're just going to keep it on that one as well. And then this, if you want to do reverse burnouts, you put this as low as you can. You can go to 10% and you can do reverse burnouts, but it's going to make it more difficult for you to stop. And then this is another thing that I've noticed. A lot of these are really different on the percentages. Normally in Horizon 4 and the earlier Horizons, it's always been kind of like 75. For some reason, like a lot of the cars just been like 75, 75, 75. But now in this game, they've been all different. Some of the cars are lower, like 15. Some of the cars are higher, like 50 or 40. But for the drag racing, we always done 100 and 100. It hasn't seen that much big of a I haven't seen anything actually different from doing a lower 75 or a 100 and 100. Some of the guys don't do nothing on the deceleration at all. I mean, you are only going on a straight line, so the deceleration does not do anything for you. So that is another thing that everybody does on that end. Is just either go 100 and 100 or 100 and 0, because the deceleration does not do anything. So now we're done with the suspension. Let's save the suspension. We're done with the suspension. Now it's finding out the gears. We need to find out what gear does what. So since I am tuning this car for a 2K launch, which all you got to do is press the e-brake and gas, and then if you press on the telemetry, you got boost of 15 pounds, torque of 619. All you have to do is let go of the e-brake, and as you guys saw, the car launched really nicely. It moved forward. The gear felt good because it felt like a quick gear. So let's do it again one more time. So right there, what I just saw is my second gear is extremely short. You know, you always look at your RPMs to know how you want your gears to shift. So with this car, the red line is what, 7? Now you don't want it to redline the car at all. You want to always kind of short shift right before redline. So it looks like 5 RPMs or 5,000 RPMs is the where you don't want the needle to go underneath 5,000, because that will consider you having a bog shift, and you don't want your car to bog after dropping that low. Every time you shift, you want it to be at 5,000 and up. Just by me looking at the RPMs here, that's how this car is going to be. It's something that you learn throughout every single car. Some of the cars are higher, some are lower, but sometimes, you know, that's how it is. You don't want it to drop from you shift it at 7,000 and it drops all the way to 4,000, and then it picks back up to 7,000. You don't want that. So that's where this car is going to be at. That's where we're going to tune it. So first, your first and second gear is going to be everything. That is what makes or breaks you in a drag race. It's your first and second gear. Your third and fourth gear, this pretty much come along of helping everything out towards the end of the race. But that first and second, if you don't have a really strong, quick first gear, you're going to lose the race. Somebody will just jump a car in front of you, and then yet when you switch that first gear, you go to second gear, and if your second gear is not strong at all, you are going to lose that momentum, and that person that has a real strong second gear will pass right around you and beat you in a quarter mile. In this game, a lot of things have changed. PC is a real big thing now. It's been like that for quite some time, and if you guys are not getting PCs and you guys are racing against PC players, it's going to be an odd that they will probably see the light before you are, unless you have a real good console and using monitor. So that is one of the biggest things that's been going on right now with the community wise. But as tuning wise, you can always try to have your strong first gear, strong second gear, and then your third and fourth and fifth will always come right around. Love the sound. I love the way you can hear the cars just coming, like it's crazy. So yeah, so e-brake, gas, let go, shift it. So now looks like my first gear is okay. It's really short though. I feel like it's really short. Let me kind of even it out here, and then let me make that second a lot longer. I need that second to be significantly longer. I normally do by 5 clicks or 10 clicks at a time, and I like even numbers. As you guys see, I'm at a 10 and a 50. I like even numbers. I don't like doing nothing crazy as, like, you know, doing like 51 or anything like that. Let's give it another shot. A, gas. So as you guys saw, like right there, just a huge difference right there. Car literally jumped off from the ground right there, just on that first gear. That felt better than having it shorter. So making that first gear a little longer already felt better. And as you guys saw, that second gear is still really short. So now we're just going to go to second gear, do another 10 clicks, and see how that second gear is. So that's how part of it is with tuning. That's all it is, just trial and error. And as you guys saw, now that second gear hooked, and then it kind of dropped lower from 6,000, and then it picked back up. So that it's okay. A lot of the time you want it to just be more smoother than that. You want the gear, you don't want it to do that as much. You want it to be more smoother. Every transition always be as smooth as possible. With this car, let's fix this third gear. Felt like it was short as well. Let's make it a little longer there, and then let's make the fourth gear longer there as well. So always do the same launch. See how I'm right there, see? So that third gear was nice. It was above 5,000 RPMs, but then when I shifted to fourth gear, you guys saw how it bogged. It went underneath 5,000. That means that my fourth gear was just way too long. Way too long of a gear. Let's do 20 clicks back towards acceleration. Okay. Hey, brake. There we go. Let go. Nice. Nice. Alright, so the car redlined right before that quarter mile there, as you guys saw. So I'm pretty much almost done, as in having a car going down the road and it's moving down the road pretty smooth. So I went 5 clicks towards speed just so I can have a little bit more gear on that fourth, and then I'm gonna do 5 as well towards that third gear towards speed, so it kind of evens out with the fourth gear. And then let's give it a shot, see how it moves. Do that, e-brake, gas. You always kind of want that rev. You don't want it to do that. So for you to do always that same rev, you move back, you move forward, hit the brake, and then e-brake, gas. See, and it'll always do that. It'll always do that high rev and then go back down to right underneath, around 2,200 RPMs. That's where it goes, right above 2,000 RPMs. See, so that fourth gear, I have to be something like this on that fourth gear. That fourth gear was a little bit too long there. That second gear still feels like it's too short for me. I would like that second gear to be as strong as the third and fourth, and I don't want it to be. Let's give it another shot real quick. So let's go right over here. Let's line it up. E-brake, gas. Does that rev that you want. Let go. Shift it. There you go. So third felt shorter than fourth. And then right there, still red line. I'm doing a higher trap speed, but it still feels like that 15 is going to be the number. And then let's go to 60, 15, and then let's do another 5 clicks on that second gear really quick. But yeah, I'm liking the first gear though. That first gear was right at that braking point. That first gear it moves really good. And then just transitioning the gears really good. Remember not to let the gears bog. If it goes underneath that 4,000 RPMs, you'll have that gear bog. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. So that is pretty much it. This is a lot of trial and error, which will always help you out. Always take a look at your trap speeds every single time you line up, just to see the higher you trap, the better you're doing. But it's not always necessary to know that just because you're trapping high, you can still lose to someone that's trapping lower, because who knows, maybe they have a lot stronger of a 60 foot because they have wider tires, or it's always situations like that you can also lose too. But yeah, that kind of sums up a nice simple way of tuning a car from scratch. Hope you guys like the video here. I have the actual tune on the storefront, so if you guys want to go join that up for this Corvette, and I hope to see you guys around with another Dragged video. Peace out, everybody. Bye bye now.